Hi guys, I Aziz welcome you to CoedMaster, and in this video I am going to talk about serialization and deserialization. In this video I will explain what is the significance of serialization and deserialization, how it works, and what are the applications of serialization and deserialization. So make sure to watch this video till the end. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Alright guys, so in order to understand what is serialization and deserialization, first we have to understand what is serializable interface. Yes guys, you heard that right. So guys, if you look at this collection framework hierarchy, you will see that there are blue color objects and all these objects are collection classes. Okay, for example, array list, linked list, array deck, priority queue, so on and so forth. And guys, if you look at the source code of all these collection classes, you will notice one common thing, that all the collection classes implements serializable interface. So why is it so? What is the significance of serializable interface? Otherwise, it would not have been implemented by all the collection classes. Well, serializable interface is nothing but a marker interface. Yes guys, this method does not define any method. It is simply a marker interface. Now the question over here is why all collection classes implement this interface. So guys, all the collection classes implement this interface to make themselves eligible for serialization and deserialization, so that Java virtual machine identify that this class is eligible for serialization and deserialization. Now this brings us to the next question, that is what is serialization and what is deserialization. So let's move on and understand what does it mean. So first thing first, what is serialization? So as we know that we represent everything in Java as object, right? So serialization is just a process or mechanism to convert object state to byte stream. Okay? For example, we have object here. So what serialization does? It just convert this object into byte stream. And byte stream is made up of 1 and zeros, right? As the name suggests, it's a stream of bytes. And byte is made up of 1 and 0. This means our object gets converted into binary data. And why binary data? Because you can do many things with binary data. You can store this binary data anywhere to access it later. You can store it in a database or in a file or anything, or you can transfer it over the network, so on and so forth. So this is what serialization means. Now conversely, deserialization is just the opposite of serialization. So here the process is just reverse of it, in which we convert byte stream into object. So we have byte stream, and in deserialization we convert this byte stream into object. So the binary stream is going to convert into original object. Okay. So guys, now you understood what does it mean by serialization and what does it mean by deserialization. Now the question over here is why we even need it. What is the actual need of deserialization and what problem it solves? Well, if I consider today's scenario, the enterprise application is becoming larger and larger. And it is also possible that enterprise application has many components, right? For example, here is one application 1 for organization 1, and this application has many components C1, C2 and C3. And we assume that all the components are working on Java. And in Java, we represent everything in object. So what happens if component 1 wants to communicate with component 2? So one option is we can write a specific protocol so that component 2 and component 3 communicate with each other. And in this case, both sender and receiver must know this protocol. If we do this, the problem will be solved. But this causes the another problem. What happens if the application of this enterprise wants to communicate with the application of other enterprise? And we assume that this enterprise also using the Java. Okay, so this application is also running on Java and this application is also running on Java. So if we write our own protocol, then it's not going to work with the other enterprise application because these components does not know anything about this protocol we are using here. So in this case, we need a generic and efficient protocol so that every component can communicate with each other, whether it belongs to application 1 or it belongs to application 2. So this is where the concept of serialization and deserialization comes into picture. So here Java internally uses some standard protocol that is used to achieve communication between components. Okay, so this is a classic use case of serialization and deserialization. And other examples are like, let's say we have to persist object in file, then we can use serialization and deserialization. If we want to persist objects in database, So we can use this concept. And for your information, if you know about Hibernate, it's a Java ORM framework, and this concept is used in Hibernate as well. Okay, and using this concept, Hibernate stores objects in database and retrieve it from database. Okay, so I hope this is clear to you that why we need serialization and deserialization. Now this brings to the next question, that how it works. So let's understand this with this example. So let's say we have sender. So this is a sender application and this is a receiver application. Okay, now what happens if application 1 wants to communicate with application 2? And we assume that both the applications are working on Java, and in Java everything is represented as object. Okay, so what happens if application 1 wants to communicate with application 2? Application 1 simply serializes its object and converts it into byte stream, and then this byte stream is sent over network. As soon as the application receives this byte stream, it performs deserialization so that the byte stream which is sent by application 1 is converted back to its original form into object. Okay, so this is the entire flow of how serialization and deserialization works. So this brings us to the next part of the video, where we see how to implement serialization and deserialization. Well, it's pretty simple and easy to implement. Let me show you. So let me take you to my IDE to show how to implement serialization and deserialization. Alright guys, so first of all we need the object so that we can serialize that object. Okay, and in order to create object, first we have to create the blueprint of that object. And how we create blueprint of the object in Java? Using class. So let's create one class with name employee, and let's create two fields of this employee. One is ID and one is department. Okay, now let's quickly create starter getter method. Okay, and let's create one constructor, and there we go. So our class is ready. Now let's create one function, public static void serialize. Okay, in this method we are going to write logic for serialization. Okay, so for this demo we are going to store our object in a file. Okay, so meaning we are going to store the object of employee class into a file. In order to store an object into file, we need a file output stream. Okay, so let's create an object for file output stream. File output stream FOS is equal to new file output stream, and give it a name of file. So let's give it a name employee.txt. Okay, so this class basically throws file not found exception. So let's wrap it in a try catch block. Okay, and handle input output IO exception. Okay, print the exception. Okay, now let's move this piece of code inside of try block. Okay, now so far so clear. So using this class we get a hold of output stream of file. Okay, now this object is ready to accept the byte stream so that it can save it to employee.txt file. Okay, now we need a byte stream of employee object, and the class that is responsible for converting object into byte stream is object output stream. So OOS is equal to new object output stream. Let's give it an instance of file output stream. So guys, what is happening over here? The object output stream is responsible for converting object into stream. Okay, byte stream, and then this byte stream is given to file output stream so that it can write the byte stream to this file. So far so clear. Okay, now we have to tell this object output stream that which object to write. So we have to call this method write object and give it an object. So let's quickly create new object first. Employee emp equal to new employee, passing it a ID 1 and department is CS. Okay, that's it. Pass this method employee object, and after passing employee object, let's close both the stream FOS.close and OOS.close. So when we invoke the close method on both the stream, it will release all the resources consumed by these two streams. Okay, now let's print one message on the screen: serialization successful. Okay, so we are done with this serialization code. Okay, now let's invoke the serialization method and see how it works. So let's run the program and boom, so we got an error, and the error is saying Java IO not serialization exception employee. This means we cannot serialize employee object. Why? The reason is simple. We have to implement serializable interface, and this is just a marker interface. Okay, so we do not have to implement any of the method. Okay, so far so good. Now again let's try one more time and run the program, and now you can see that serialization is successful and we have file created with employee.txt, and if you open this file you will see that these are the byte stream. Okay, these are binary data. Okay, so far so clear. Now the next task is how to deserialize it. So to deserialize it, let's write one more function, public static void, now name it deserialize. Okay, now similarly let's wrap all the code we are going to write into try and catch block. Let's handle the exception, input output exception. Okay, system.out SOUT and E. Okay, now let's catch one more error, that is class not found exception. Okay, let's print the exception on the screen. Okay, now let's write the code to deserialize the byte stream into object. So guys, so before we have used file output stream to store stream of bytes into file. Now this time we want to retrieve the byte stream from file. So in this case we use file input stream. Okay, file input stream is equal to new file input stream and give it a name, same name we have given before, that is employee.txt. Okay, so with this object we get a hold of file input stream. Okay, now we are getting a stream of bytes, but we need a class that can handle that stream of data. So the class that is responsible for converting stream of data into object is object input stream. Okay, object input stream is equal to new object input stream. Okay, and this object is receiving all the streams from file input stream. Okay, so far so clear. Now we have to invoke read object method on this object so that it can read all the byte stream and convert it into object. Okay, now the file stream is read, so let's store that object into emp variable and we have to cast it. Okay, so finally we receive our object back from file. Okay, so let's close the connection first, stream connection fis.close and ois.close so that it will release all the resources. And now we just have to write code to print employee on the screen, and there we go. So we have deserialization successful, and then we have employee ID, and then we have department. So now let's run this deserialize method and see what it does. Okay, let's call it deserialize, run the program, and deserialization is successful. You can see that the employee ID is 1 and department is CS. So far so clear guys. So guys, I hope by now you understood how serialization and deserialization works and how it's implemented. So guys, from now onwards we are going to consider multiple scenarios and we'll see how serialization and deserialization behave in such cases. Okay, so let's quickly comment this deserialization code. Okay, now what we do, first we are going to call serialize. Okay, so the object is successfully serialized, and now let's try to update the employee class. Okay, let's add one more field, that is string and mobile, and now let's try to deserialize it. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's run the program, and the exception is Java IO invalid class exception, and it is saying local class incompatible stream class description serial version ID. So it is something related to serial ID, and local class serial version ID is this. This means we got this error because there is a mismatch in serial ID. Here it is 4451, here it is 8155. So guys, in order to understand this error and investigate why it happens, we have to understand one thing, that how JVM performs serialization and deserialization. So let's head over to Notepad and see how JVM does serialization and deserialization. So guys, now let's understand how JVM behaves behind the scene when we do serialization and deserialization. So in our case, we have employee class, right? Okay, and we want to serialize the object of this employee class. So when we do serialization on this object, our JVM by default assign one version number to this class, okay, employee class. For example, the version number is XYZ. But why JVM assign version number to any class? Just to maintain the versioning of the class. As simple as that, okay. So when we do serialization on this object, the version number gets transferred to byte stream. So now this byte stream has this version number XYZ, okay. And what we did after serialization, we just update the class, okay. So this means now the version of this class is changed, okay. So JVM is going to assign new version to this class, right? Because we have changed it, version is changed. So let's say this time the version number is ABC. And then what we did, we were trying to convert this byte stream into object using deserialization, okay. So what happens? JVM saw that the version of original class is ABC and the object we were trying to create from byte stream contains different version number. So this means there is a mismatch of version number. So this is the actual reason we got version mismatch error, okay. Now the question over here is how to solve this error, okay. So it's simple. We just have to assign one version number manually to the class we wish to get serialized, okay. And this way we will solve this problem. So let's head over to IDE and see how we are going to solve this problem. So let's close this console, okay. And what we do, let's create one ID private static, okay, final, so that we cannot change it, and the type of this is long, and the name of this variable is SerialVersionUID and assign it 1L, okay. So our problem will be solved using this. So we are assigning an ID that is static final to employee class. Now let's try to serialize and deserialize it. First let's serialize it, okay. Serialization successful. Now let's try to remove this variable here. There we go. And now let's try to deserialize it. Run the program and boom, we have finally done deserialization, okay. The employee ID is 1 and department is CS. So with this experiment we learned one thing, that the class we wish to serialize and deserialize must contain this variable, okay. And the name of that variable is SerialVersionUID. Okay, so far so clear. Now the next question is, what if we have a static field in this class? Does it going to participate in this process of serialization and deserialization? So the answer to that question is absolutely no, because we are serializing object and static fields belongs to class only, okay. So that is why if we have a static field, it is not going to participate in serialization and deserialization process, okay. Now the next question is, what happens if this employee class has a reference to any other object? So for example, let's create one class, okay, and the name of that class is ADDRESS address, and let's create 3 fields here. First is house number, second is street, third one is city, okay. Now quickly create constructor and then let's create getter and setter for this class, and there we go. Now we have this address class. Now let's use this class in employee class. So we have address and ADDRES, and this variable is going to hold the address object, okay. So let's create a getter and setter for address, code generate getter and setter for address, and there we go. Okay, so we are done with this address class. Now let's add this address to this employee, okay. So let's create a new object, address add is equal to new address, give it a house number 5 and give it a street, that is MG road, and the city is Bangalore, okay. Now emp dot set address and give it a address. Okay, now let's see what happens. So let's try to serialize the employee object. Run the program and boom, we got error, that is not serializable exception address. This means if we have reference to any object inside of this class, then this internal class must implement serializable interface. So let's implement serializable interface here. Okay, and there we go. Now let's try to serialize again and we are done. So we have successfully serialized this object. Now after serialization, let's try to deserialize it. Let's comment it out, let's uncomment it, and now as we are getting address here, so we have to print address also. Okay, so let's get the address back. address add is equal to emp dot get address. Okay, and now let's try to print address over here. Okay, so let's write a code to print address on the screen, and there we go. Home number is address dot get house number, street and city. Let's make it house number. Okay, now let's try to deserialize the object. Run the program and boom, we get the employee with address. Employee ID is equal to 1, C is house, MG Road and Bangalore. So far so clear. Now guys, let's take this challenge to next level. Now what happens if I do not want to include the address in serialization process? So is there any way to avoid the serialization of address? Yes, we have a way. What we have to do, we have to just mark this variable transient. Okay, if we mark this variable transient, then it's not going to participate in the serialization process. Now let's do a serialization once again. Run the program and serialization is successful. Now let's deserialize it. Run the program and deserialization is successful. Employee ID is equal to 1, department is CS, but we are getting null pointer exception. Why? Because address dot get house number is null. Okay, why? Because address is not involved in serialization process. That is why we are not able to capture the address object. And to suppress this error, let's write a catch block, null pointer exception, handle the null pointer exception, and there we go. Okay, let's run the code once again. So now the error is gone and we are just printing this error on the screen. Okay, so this means if we have variable that holds the address of any object, then and we do not want to include that object in serialization process, then we can mark it transient. So this is it. Now next question is, why if we do not want to include the entire address, but if we want to include only house number and street? So is there any solution to achieve this? Absolutely yes. So Java has some mechanism by which we can totally exclude the entire object, but we can include some of the fields. So in this case we have to implement two methods, that is private void write object. This object gets object output stream as a parameter. Okay, object output stream. This method throws IO exception and class not found exception. Okay, and one more method we need for reading an object. Okay, so this two method is responsible for attaching a specific attribute to current byte stream. Okay, so while we do serialization and deserialization, the Java virtual machine is going to call this method for writing byte stream and for reading byte stream. So there is a mistake, so let's convert it into object input stream and object input stream. Okay, there we go. Now let's call one method over this object OOS dot default write object. So this method actually allows us to attach few of the attributes in current byte stream, and then OOS dot write integer, and integer we get integer from ADD address dot house number. Okay, similarly we write object and address dot street. Okay, and then in read method we are going to read it. So OIS dot, first of all we have to invoke this method. This method allows us to read the extra byte we are attaching at the time of writing, and then OIS dot read integer. Where is integer? Come on, integer. Okay, so integer of house number is equal to OIS dot read int. Okay, similarly we are going to read street. Street is equal to OIS dot read object. Okay, so we have to cast this object into a string class. Okay, and then let's create new object of address is equal to new address by passing house number, street and city as null. Okay, so these are the two methods that are responsible for adding extra bits to current byte stream, and here we are adding house number and street, and in this method we are receiving house number and stream from the byte stream. Okay, so JVM is going to call these two methods. So although we are excluding the address object from serializing, but forcefully we are adding house number and street to it. Now let's comment this out and uncomment the serialize. Let's run the program. So serialization is successful. Now let's check the deserialization process, run the program, and boom, you can see that now we have employee ID, department, house, street, but the city is null. So this means we are successfully able to exclude the address object, but we are able to attach some of the properties of address in the current stream. But guys, you have to make sure that the order in which you are adding properties, you have to read the properties in the same order. Okay, so you cannot shuffle house number and street at the time of reading. Okay, so you have to make sure. Okay, so guys, this brings us to the next question, that what happens if we have inheritance. Okay, so let's create one class person. Let's add one attribute to it, that is name. Let's quickly create one constructor. Okay, and then some add getter and setter method, and there we go. So now we have one class. Now let's extend this class in employee class. We are extending person class. Okay, and then we have to receive the name here now, name, and then call a super to pass this name to the person class. Okay, so far so clear. Let's go to employee and give it a name. Let's say the name of employee is Joy. Okay, now let's serialize this and see is it going to work or not. Okay, serialization successful. Now let's try to deserialize this, run the program, and boom, Java invalid class exception, employee not valid constructor. So this means this deserialization and serialization is not working in inheritance. So guys, whenever we have inheritance and whenever we are extending some properties from parent class, so here we are extending name property from person class. So that is why we need one constructor over here. Okay, so let's create one constructor that is going to be a blank constructor. Okay, empty constructor. So it is asking for constructor. Okay, you can see the error, no valid constructor. So now let's go to main method, and again let's try to serialize it. Command run the program, serialize successfully. Now let's try to deserialize it. Okay, and there we go. Now you can see that the serialization is successful. Employee 1, department CS, house, street and city. So guys, we learned one thing, that if we use inheritance and if we are extending some variable from parent class, then that parent class must have a empty constructor. And even if you are not extending any method or any attribute, the parent class must have a constructor, empty constructor. So the reason is simple. What JVM does at the time of deserialization, the JVM simply call the constructor of parent class if parent class has not implemented serializable interface. Okay, so this is what happening here. We have not implemented serializable interface on parent class, so that is why JVM is yelling on us that please provide constructor so that he can create the object of person class. Okay, so this was the one scenario. So now let's remove this constructor and try to implement serializable interface here. Implements serializable. Okay, and then we'll see what happens. So in this case, let's call serialize method on it. Okay, it is successful. Now let's call deserialization. Run the program. Now you can see that after implementing serializable interface, the error is gone and we are successfully getting employee ID, department, house number, street and city. Okay, so guys, I hope this is clear to you. So guys, let's take this challenge to next level. Now what happens if the parent class is serializable and we do not want our child class to be serialized? In that case, what happens? So to solve this problem, what we have to do, we simply have to go to this method. Okay, comment out this code, and here we can throw an error. Okay, and that error is new not serialization exception. Okay, so this is what we have to do if we do not want to serialize child object but the parent object is serializable. Okay, let's run the serializable logic, run the program. Okay, now we can see the error here that if the parent is serializable and we do not want the child class to be serialized, we can simply throw an error in write object and read object method. So we have covered this corner scenario also. Okay, so guys, so far I have covered all the test cases and all the scenarios that you may encounter while using serialization and deserialization. So I hope you understood all the scenarios and the reasons why it is working and why it is not working. So now again, let's move to Notepad and see what are the applications of serialization and deserialization. So guys, the number one application of deserialization and serialization is communication. So as I said that there are two machines and in both the machines applications are running on Java. So both the machines can easily communicate by leveraging serialization and deserialization technique. Okay. Now the next application is persistence the object in file or database. So as I have explained before that if you want to persist any object in file or database, we can use this concept of serialization and deserialization. Okay. Now the third application is deep copy. So what does it mean? So let's say you have an object and that object also contains the reference of other objects and you have a long chain of object. Okay. So in that case, if you try to copy that object, then you have to specifically write a specific logic to copy all the object and the nested object, right? So in that case, you can also leverage the concept of serialization and deserialization. What you have to do, you just have to serialize that object into array of bytes and then simply you have to again convert the array of bytes to the original object. So this way you can save a lot of, so in this way you do not have to write a specific logic to get the deep copy of object. And the last but not the least, the application of serialization and deserialization is caching. And this is really an interesting application. So what happens? Let's say you have an object and the object is really heavy. So sometimes that object takes 10 seconds or 1 minute to create. Okay. So in that case, what you can do, you can simply create one object and store that object in a file using serialization technique. Okay. Then whenever you want to use that object, you can simply deserialize that object from the file and boom, you get the object. So why you should use serialization and deserialization? Because the reason is pretty simple. If you are going to create object from scratch, it's going to take much more time. For example, 1 minute or 10 seconds or 20 seconds. But if you are going to create object from a file using deserialization technique, then it's going to give you an object in a fraction of second. Okay. And this is really fast. So guys, I hope now you understood how serialization and deserialization works, what is the significance of it, what are the applications of it, how to implement it, and what are the real world applications of this specific technique. Okay. So guys, as usual, if you have learned something valuable from this video, then hit the like button in order to make YouTube algorithm happy. Please subscribe to this channel, and my friend, do not forget to click the bell icon so that you never miss any upcoming video. So this is all from my side. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.